Right, everyone? Doing okay? Cool. So we'll try not to take too long today. We'll keep it quick so that everyone can get sunbathing, hey? My wife was saying to me that her main priority today is to get sunbathing. So for the sake of my wife, let's make this thing quick so that people can get sunbathing. Sarah, you know, if you laugh like that, it means that you identify with that joke. So, you know, it's been a strange, like Matt was saying, it's been a strange year, hasn't it? It's been a real strange year. And it's a kind of year where you could be caught up in all kinds of conspiracy theories and in what people are saying and what you read on the internet and what you read on social media and what other people are saying. Hearsay, she says, what people saying. You know, I heard a leader say the other day, when you hear someone say they said something, when there's a they, then you don't listen to it because it's nobody. But when there are names, then you listen, but you don't listen to theys. So this is Paul talking to a young leader, talking to Timothy. And in 1 Timothy 4, 7 to 12, we won't read the whole passage. If you want to look at it in your own time, please go ahead. But we're going to read from 7. He says, have nothing to do with godless myths and old wives' tales. This has been a year of godless myths and old wives' tales, of conspiracy theories that can bog you down and make you feel overwhelmed, right? But he says, godless myths and old wives' tales, rather train yourself to be godly. Yeah, don't focus on godless myths, conspiracy theories. Why not train yourself to be godly? That's a much better thing for us to do with our time, rather than focusing on what we're reading on the internet or social media, to focus on becoming godly. For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. This is a trustworthy saying that deserves full acceptance. That is why we labor and strive, because we have put our hope in the living God. That's true today, isn't it? Who is the Savior of all people, and especially those who believe. Command and teach these things, and this is key. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. So young people, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. But I would put there, don't let anyone look down on you because of your age. Don't let anyone look down on you because of your age. But set an example for the believers. And then he mentions 5 things that we're going to look at today. In speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. I think when I was working particularly with kids' church, I think when you work in a kids team, you quickly see that you're working with a completely different demographic than you would do in youth. I think in youth it tends to be fuller of young adults for whatever reason, of cool young adults with a lot of energy. And kids church has some cool young adults with a lot of energy, but it also has a lot of older people that are cool but bring a certain skill set to the table as well. And so I actually really valued and really appreciated my time in kids church, having older members as a part of it, because they bring a certain skill set. And so I was always praying, Lord, would you bring me people that have skills that I don't have, that have gift sets that I don't have, that I don't see. And so when you lead an older person, it's different to the way that you lead a younger person. Hopefully, we always lead in grace and love, but there is a different way that we lead when you're leading to a younger person to when you're leading up. So this is this concept of leading up. So how do you lead up? So I had to learn to lead up, to graciously go to senior members of my team, ask their opinion on things, humble myself, ask their opinion, but actually learn to lead up and to direct them in love, and you do that through love and you do that through grace. But John Maxwell, he says, leadership isn't position, is it? We've probably all heard it. Leadership isn't position, leadership is influence. What I wouldn't say is leadership is manipulation though, but leadership is influence, not position. Leadership is influence. So that's exercising the influence. So I want to speak today into us around this subject of 5 ways to lead no matter your age. So 5 ways to lead no matter your age. And Paul says it's all about setting an example. It doesn't matter how wide your platform is, or how small you think your platform is, or how much influence you think you have. We all have influence. So here's 5 ways to lead no matter your age. And the first one is, Paul says, in speech, what you talk about. We can all set an example in what we talk about. You know, we're all responsible for the culture of this church. It's not just that Matt and Vivi are responsible for the culture of this church. We all have a responsibility for what we say and what our words do in the culture of this church. Because, you know, gossip is like a cancer, isn't it? Gossip is a cancer. And the truth is, I think one of the things that I've learned over my short years is one of the things that I've learned is actually when I gossip, or if I listen to gossip, or if I listen to other people's judgments about other people, what happens is, it's not a small thing, it's a big thing. When I listen to someone else's judgment about someone and I agree with it, it's like I come under an agreement with their judgment of someone else, and I then come under the weight of their unforgiveness. So suddenly, then making decisions about maybe that person or that situation later on, I'm suddenly blind because I've come under their judgment and their unforgiveness. It's a spirit, yeah? So we need to be very conscious of the culture that we create or we're part of in gossip. You know, in the Bible college, for example, the words that we have hold weight. Some words that you whisper in gossip or behind closed doors, they find their ways outside the door, don't they? And they find their ways to other people's ears. So in Ephesians 5:3-4, it says this, but sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among saints. Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place. But instead, let there be thanksgiving. You know, I was thinking about my dad. When I was looking into this, I was thinking about my dad. My dad is a first-generation Christian. And my dad was telling me this story the other day about how he became a Christian. And he got dragged along to a youth group by some people, by some friends down in his road, and he decided to make a commitment to following Jesus. He went down the front and went to the elder and said, "Can I pray with you? I want to give my life to Jesus." And the guy started crying. And I said to Dad, "Oh, how did that make you feel? That must have been intense." And Dad said, "I thought it was really weird. I thought it was really weird." But the guy went on to explain that he'd been praying for my grandfather for a long time. And so isn't that amazing, the power of prayer? But the reason I bring that up is because there's a level of authority and there's a level of breakthrough that you walk in when you're a first-generation Christian that we as second, third-generation Christians have to gain back. And in fact, even in our walks as being first-generation Christians, we've all got to keep taking land and retaking back ground again. It makes me think about Nehemiah when he was building the walls. Generations that believed in God built those walls and believed in the mission, built those walls. But over and through compromise, those walls got corroded and more corroded. And you know, our mouths and what we say with our lips. I think a first-generation Christian, I've never heard my dad swear, ever. My mum has a trucker's mouth. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh, please. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint. Verity Knight is a saint. Yeah. That's not true. It's not true. But I've never heard my dad ever swear. And it's funny for like a second, third generation Christian, some things slip in to our culture that we think, oh, it's all right, it doesn't really matter. You know, I was chatting with a new Christian the other day, and they were asking me, like, what's your opinion on swearing? And I'd given it some thought, and I went away, you know what, I thought to myself, I found it quite challenging. I thought, yeah, I'll go away and study it properly. So I came back and I chatted it through with him. And so some of the things that I came up with, Proverbs 12:14, from the fruit of his mouth, a man is satisfied with good, and the work of a man's hand comes back to him. Another one in Psalms 119, 103, it says, how sweet are your words to my taste, sweeter than honey to my mouth. And that's talking about God's words. But when I was studying around this, and I wanted to give a good thing with this guy, I wanted to, because he's a wonderful guy, and I really respect him and love him. And I wanted to go and give him good report on this and good insight into it. And I was praying into it, and I felt God say, let honey be always on your lips. That it's not even just don't swear, but it's let honey always be on your lips. Don't just not swear. Don't just not have bad culture coming from your lips. Don't just not let gossip come from your lips. But let goodness come from your lips. Let honey be ever on your lips. You know, swearing in a second generation, third generation Christian is like having an eroded wall, like in Nehemiah's day, that we're not even aware of. We think it doesn't really matter. It's just one wall. It's just one wall. You know, I've got all of my other walls up. I'm not doing other things that other people aren't doing, but there's one wall. Maybe it's just one wall, and this little gap the enemy can get into and he'd pillage the kingdom in your life. Because it's important, isn't it? It's important. Proverbs 14:1 says, "The wise woman builds a house, but with her own hands the foolish one tears hers down." Proverbs 12:13 says, "An evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble." This is the second point in conduct, how you do things. How you do things. There are ways to do things and go about doing things in life, aren't there? There's ways that we do things. This is going to be really expose myself, but the other day I went on a cycle ride, and I was cycling through the back roads of Chichester, and I thought to myself, I'm going to try and get up towards Kingley Vale, towards the hills. So I cycled down this route, and I saw a path that I hadn't seen before, and I cycled by the path, and I noticed out of the corner of my eye there was this sign that may have said, "Don't go down here." But I thought, it'd be all right. So I cycled down this path. And then, sure enough, I saw another sign. I was going pretty fast, but I'm pretty sure I saw another sign that said, "Don't cycle down this path." And I thought, it'd be all right. So I carried on cycling, and I cycled right into someone who started coming towards me and started waving their hands at me. So I stopped, and this person said, "What are you doing? Why are you going down this road? You can't come down here." And I took off my helmet, and she went, "It's you!" And it was someone from the church. Surely I'm learning this thing, but there are ways of doing things, aren't there? There are ways of doing things. You know, Billy Graham, there hasn't been anything that's come out about his life since he died, has there? And that's an amazing testimony. And I heard a story about when he was a younger man, him and a group of mates got together and they wrote this, which is the Modesto Manifesto, and they decided that they were going to commit their lives to integrity. And this is a quote from it, and it says this: "We will be accountable, particularly in handling finances, with integrity according to the highest business standards. We will tell the truth and be thoroughly honest, especially in reporting statistics. We will be exemplary in morals, clear, clean, and careful to avoid the very appearance of any impropriety." I think an area as well that we can see, it's really interesting because on social media, strangely, you can really see people's hearts. You know, it used to be in youth work that you wouldn't really be able to see what was going on in people's lives. But apparently these days, people just make it really clear for everyone. And you can really see the state of people's hearts. So be careful what you put on social media. Be careful what goes on in social media, because we represent Christ and we represent his church. We represent this church. And the things that we do get broadcasted. People do catch us out, and we do get caught out if we ride down a path that we're not supposed to be riding on. Quite literally, yeah? Number 3, in love, how you treat people. 1 Peter 3:7 says, "Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered." It's important how we live at home, and it's important how we live in church. In Mark 9:37, it says this: "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me." When I would talk to the kids workers and exhort them about what we are doing, because it can be hard doing kids work, but isn't it amazing we have such a great kids church at our church, hey? It's wonderful, isn't it? We have an amazing kids work. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I was explaining, the reason that we call it kids church is it's a church. It's not a kids club. We have a lot of fun, and our priority is to have a lot of fun. But the reason we call it Kids Church is because it is a kids church and not just a club. It is a priority for us to get our young people, our kids, into the presence of God and to put swords in their hands of the Word of God. That is a priority, and that's why we do it. And that's why we have youth on a Friday night. That's why we put on something for your young people, because we want to put swords in their hands of the Word of God. We want to equip them. We want to have loads of fun with them, but we want to equip them to face the battles that's ahead of them. But, you know, how you treat people goes on at home and it goes on at church. And so I would exhort the kids' church leaders, and I would say, look, it doesn't matter if people don't see you. In fact, you know what? It's probably better if people don't see you, because I feel like that with all of the things that we do in church, and if one day we're going to get thanked by Jesus, he's going to say, well done, good and faithful servant. I reckon it's going to be more of the things that people don't see than that people do see. I probably won't get much thank or applause for this message, but all of the years that I spent working with working with children, welcoming them into kids' church, all of those times, I reckon God's going to thank me for. And so I would say that to the youth workers, and I remind them, and the kids workers, and I remind them that every time you welcome in a single child, you're welcoming Jesus and you're welcoming in the Father. It's amazing. It's wonderful news, isn't it? That we are welcoming anything good that you do for the smallest among us, you've done for me. There's that famous story of, I think it was a knight, and he was riding into some gates, and he saw a peasant on the floor and on the ground begging, and he tore his cloak, or in some versions of the story, he gave him his whole cloak. And that night he went to sleep and he had a dream. And in the dream, Jesus was wearing a new cloak, and he was saying to the angels of the people in heaven, and he was saying, look at this cloak that he gave me. This cloak that he gave me. So it doesn't matter how we treat people. The other day I went into Nero with my wife, and it was a Monday, and it was after the Sunday. We have an amazing culture in our church of welcoming and loving people on a Sunday, of hospitality. Doesn't Sammy do an amazing job with the hospitality? Yeah. We have an amazing culture, and it's wonderful, but it's something that we all need to keep representing. That we are all responsible for the culture of this church, and we need to remember to welcome on a Sunday. The next day, I went into Nero, and it was so unwelcoming. The guy didn't make eye contact with me. He didn't welcome me. In fact, he made me feel like I shouldn't be there. Isn't that a funny situation? But we can do that in church to make people feel unwelcome. Let's endeavor to make people feel really welcome at our church, yeah? In faith, this is the fourth one, what you attempt. William Carey says this: expect great things from God, attempt great things for God. There are loads of testimonies that we could give on this, but one small one that I was really encouraged by this week on Sunday was Sophia and Shay. They've done an amazing job this year, and they've done a great job in hosting and preaching and different things, and the others have done an amazing job as well. But these two were hosting on Sunday, and I gave them a challenge of getting 2 gifts for summer camp, or 2 sign-ups on the day after their hosting. So that was their challenge. And they managed it. So I got someone in the first service came up to me. It gave me some cash. The next someone else in the second service said, wow, I'm willing to give as many gifts as you need. That's good, isn't it? It's partnering with the culture and partnering in the vision of what we're building here at this church. But the reason I share it in some small way is because of this. I was explaining to them, don't just go through your notices. Don't just do your task, but envision people. Yeah, your job when you're hosting isn't just to go through the notices, but it's to vision cast. So my job when I'm speaking isn't just to do my notices or work through my points, but it's to vision cast about the kids' work and the importance of that, the power of that, the youth work. But in every task that we do in this church, if you're making the coffees, if you're welcoming people out the front, if you're doing love your neighbor, do it unto the Lord and do it vision casting. Every time you get a can out, don't just do the task, but do it with the greater role, the greater need, the view of future in mind, because we're part of something bigger than ourselves, aren't we? It's good to be a part of something that is bigger than ourselves. And the fifth one is this: impurity. How you separate. That's an odd one. How you separate. Leviticus 19:2 says, "You must be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy." You know, we love being together and it's wonderful to be together, but holiness means to separate. I love reading through the Gospels and reading about Jesus, because what you see with Jesus is you see miracle, Jesus went alone to pray. You see miracles, Jesus went up to a hilltop to pray. You see Jesus doing miracles in front of 1,500 people. He then goes up to a hilltop to pray for the entire evening. Because Jesus knows that what we should know is that intimacy gives us power. And we need to separate ourselves off at times to go and be alone with God and encounter him. He had a great mission, but he chose humble men. He had ever-increasing stage, but he made prayer a priority. G.D. Watson says, "Others may, but you cannot." The other week, and maybe this is a strange story, but we're starting this series called Arrows. So for the 0 to 30s work at this church, we're doing the Arrow track. And what we're believing is that working with different things like Eric Erickson's life stages, and looking at resources like the Think Orange stuff. With all of this, we want to build a framework, an arrow track for the kids and the youth and the young adults of this church so that they can fly and hit the target. And as part of that, what we're going to do is a 3-part series that all of the kids workers and youth workers and young adult workers are going to watch and use as a resource. And then every time we're going to have a new person join, they're going to watch that. And it has our 3 missions, which are mission 1, every life shaped to reflect the glory of God. Mission 2 is every life drawn back by the bow of the local church, because church is important. And mission 3, every life launched to purpose. And then we're going to watch this together. And hopefully what this is going to do is equip us as a team. But we were doing the 3rd one the other day, which is Launch to Purpose. And we went up to Kingley Vale. And in it, I was telling this story about how the great old yew trees were used to make longbows that were used in Agincourt, that actually won the Battle of Agincourt. And when we were in the week going up to it, I was feeling really nervous and quite anxious, because there's some weird things that go on in the forest of Kingley Vale. And I was thinking, I wonder what's going to happen. And so I just got really anxious about it. So I was praying. I went to the Lord in prayer about it. And on my daily reading, I came to the passage in Samuel where it talks about the Ark of God being taken, stolen by the Philistines and brought into the house of Dagon. And when it was brought into the house of Dagon, it's a strange story, but when it was brought into the house of Dagon, they left it there for the evening, and next to the statue of Dagon, and they came down in the morning, and the statue of Dagon was lying on its face in front of the Ark of God. They propped it back up again, and then they came back down the next morning, and it was on its face again with its hands cut off and its head cut off. And when I read that, I felt the Lord say to me, focus more on the Ark than you're focusing on the enemy. Focus more on the presence of God than you're focusing on the enemy. And you know what? It filled me with so much boldness and faith. You know, Charles Spurgeon says that you can take yourself from the doldrums of despondency up into the mountaintops of communion with God. And I'll leave you with this. This is the last story. But I was reading about this guy called Boniface, and he was the bishop in Germany. And this guy had led an amazing life as a Christian leader. And he decided that rather than spending his old times in retirement, he decided that he'd give them to God and he'd go on mission. And so he was sent to Germany as a missionary. And in his traveling, he realized that there was quite a lot of pagan religion going on around Germany. And in fact, he found out that there was this tree called Thor's tree that they would gather around and they would worship it at a certain time of year. And in fact, what they would do in their worship is that they would do human sacrifice and child sacrifice at times. So Boniface, this bold man, he goes to this event. And he takes a bunch of Christians with them. And all the Christians are nervous and anxious about going, and rightly so, because they could end up being a sacrifice. And they arrive at this tree while it's all going on and people are gathered around it. And Boniface takes up an axe, walks down to the tree, takes an axe to the tree, hacks down the tree. All the time, these people around him are going, what are you doing? You can't do that. And people are going, don't worry, Thor's going to strike him at any second. Thor, one of his minions, is going to come and attack him. He hacks this tree down, unafraid of all the people around him or of any demonic spirits in the air, and the tree comes crashing down, splits in three, and they all get baptized and saved. Because an old man decided not to live in comfort, but to attempt great things for God. That good? Great. Are we going to do one more song? Is that what we're doing first? We're not. Let's pray. Let's pray. So if this is, if you're watching online and this has impacted you today, what we'll do is we'll just pray together. Yeah, let's pray together. Maybe you're of any age. It might be you're young. It might be that you're old. It might be that you don't have a big platform, but you can live with influence and being an influencer. So let's pray together. Lord Jesus, I pray for these people. And I thank you, Lord, that we all have influence. But I pray, Lord, would you increase our influence and our godliness? Lord, as we put these 5 things in our lives, Lord, would you move through our lives and would you give us a great impact, just like Bishop Boniface. Amen. Amen. Great. Well, we've got to say goodbye to everyone online now, so take care. Thanks for being with us.